Every parent dreads that one moment, the split second when laughter turns to silence, when innocence collides with cruelty, when the world you thought was safe suddenly shows its teeth. For me, that moment came on what should have been the most uneventful day of the week, Tuesday. But this Tuesday wasn't content to be ordinary. No, this Tuesday put on a red dress, struck a match, and burned itself into my memory forever. 'Cause that was the day the spoiled son of our HOA president, armed with a baseball bat, stood over my 8-year-old daughter while she lay face down in the gravel. That was the day my temper nearly exploded, and the day my wife reminded everyone exactly who she is. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand the full storm that was about to unfold, let me start from the very beginning. Tuesdays are usually background noise in life. They show up, do their job, and leave without leaving a trace. Beige, boring, dependable. Our neighborhood reflected that same energy-manicured lawns. Mailboxes all painted the same government-issued shade of beige. And rules so strict you'd think the HOA bylaws were written by a retired drill sergeant with OCD. We paid obscene monthly fees for this safety bubble, for the illusion that nothing bad could ever happen here, for the guarantee that nobody could paint their house the wrong shade of taupe without facing swift punishment. And honestly, I believed in that bubble, at least until the bubble burst. That day started like any other. I was in the garage, elbow deep in a lawnmower that sounded more like a dying goose than a piece of machinery. My wife, Sam, was inside the house, probably disassembling the toaster just to keep her hands busy. That's who she is, efficient.com, former Army, and the person you want on your side when chaos knocks on the door. And then there was Lily, my daughter. 8 years old, a bundle of pigtails and scraped knees, her laughter like the background music to my life. She was walking home from a friend's house, just 2 doors down. No big deal, no danger. It's just a kid being a kid in a place where danger wasn't supposed to exist. At least that's what I thought until the laughter stopped, not faded, not drifted away. Stopped, cut off like a wire had been severed. And the silence that followed was louder than any scream. I dropped the wrench and stumbled out of the garage. My heart thudded in my chest. Sam was already moving. She doesn't run, she arrives. By the time I reached the end of our driveway, she was halfway down the gravel road, her stride purposeful, her posture pure discipline. And then I saw it, a sight that carved itself into my brain like a scar. Lily, my little girl, crumpled on the ground, her pink t-shirt and denim shorts dusted with gravel, and standing over her 4 boys, teenagers, big, smug, varsity jackets draped over their shoulders like armor. Their expressions weren't of concern. They weren't helping her up. No, they were enjoying this. And one of them, Tyler Lawson, the crown prince of our neighborhood, son of Karen Lawson, the iron-fisted, fake-smiling HOA president, and in his hand he gripped a metal baseball bat. Not like a kid holding sports equipment, not like he was heading to practice. He held it like a weapon, like it belonged there. The bat slammed into the gravel inches from Lily's head. Pebbles jumped. My stomach dropped. Didn't actually hit her. Not yet. But he wanted to see fear in her eyes. From the smug grin curling on his face, he was getting exactly what he wanted. The other boys stood around like backup singers in some twisted performance. 2 of them even had their own bats, props in this cruel show. Lily looked so small beneath them. I ran, legs pumping like I was trapped in wet cement. But Sam was already there. She didn't yell, she didn't scream, she didn't waste breath on threats. Her voice came out flat, cold, precise. Get away from her. It wasn't a request. It wasn't even a warning. It was a command. The boys flinched. They turned, startled, as if they'd only just realized who was approaching them. Sam kept walking, her jaw set, her stride steady. She didn't look like a mom. She looked like a soldier closing in on a target. Tyler tried to puff his chest out to look brave. One of the other boys whispered, "Text your mom." Tyler's thumbs flew over his phone like a lifeline. 30 seconds later, a white SUV appeared at the end of the street. But before backup arrived, Sam was already in control. She stopped just 5 feet away, crouched down, and checked Lily. Then she looked up straight into Tyler's eyes, dropped the bat. He hesitated, testing her. But Sam's posture shifted, shoulders squared. No bluff, no fear, just unshakable promise. If Tyler swung again, he'd have to go through her. And he knew he wouldn't win. The bat slipped from his grip and hit the gravel with a dull thud. By then I had caught up, lungs burning, fists clenched. I wanted to tear the kid apart, but Sam's steady presence kept me from losing control. And then the SUV rolled up. Out stepped Karen Lawson. If entitlement had a face, it was Karen's. Perfectly styled blonde hair, designer sunglasses, a smile that was all teeth and zero warmth. She scanned the scene like a queen surveying peasants. Her eyes flicked from Lily on the ground, to Tyler, to Sam, and finally, to me. What's going on here? She purred, her voice dripping with false concern. These people seem upset. Tyler muttered something about Lily tripping, falling on her own. Karen's smile tightened. She glanced at the bat lying on the gravel, then dismissed it like it wasn't even there. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding, she said smoothly. Boys will be boys after all. Sam stood up slowly, fixing Karen with a stare that could have cut steel. Your boy, she said, voice razor sharp, stood over my daughter with a baseball bat, after he and his friends knocked her to the ground. That is not a misunderstanding. For the first time, Karen's mask cracked. Just a flicker. Now cold calculation in her eyes. I think you're mistaken, she replied, her tone condescending. My son would never do such a thing. Perhaps your daughter is clumsy. She wrapped a protective hand around Tyler's shoulder and pulled him toward the SUV, shielding him as though he were the victim. The message was clear. Reality didn't matter. Truth didn't matter. What mattered was her power. She had no idea that the woman standing in front of her, my wife, was trained to dismantle power structures for a living. This wasn't over. It was just the opening shot. Back home, the outside world faded away. Inside, it was about Lily, her scraped knees, her raw cheek, the tremor in her small voice as she told us what happened. She described Tyler blocking her path, his cruel taunt about her pink shoes, the way he jabbed the bat into her ribs just enough to make her stumble, how her head smacked the gravel with a crack that made her dizzy, and worst of all, the laughter of those boys as she tried to get up. Listening to her was like swallowing glass, every detail another shard. Sam didn't flinch. She just hugged her and whispered, You were brave. You did nothing wrong. But her jaw was tight. Her silence spoke volumes. No. The next day, we found ourselves in the principal's office. Mr. Henderson, frazzled tie, nervous eyes, read the nurse's report. Abrasion consistent with a fall. Facts. Useless facts. We pushed for security footage for accountability. Henderson wrung his hands. It's complicated. One student's word against 4 others, and right on Karen Lawson waltzed in. It's not invited, not called. Just there. Tailored suit, designer handbag, fake sympathy dripping from her words. I heard there was a little misunderstanding, she said, smiling directly at the principal. My Tyler would never hurt anyone. He's a disciplined young man thanks to our athletics program. In fact, my husband and I sponsored the new scoreboard, and then like she'd rehearsed it, she produced statements from Tyler's friends. All typed, all signed, all identical. Lily ran between them. She tripped. They were concerned for her well-being. It was a masterclass in gaslighting, a work of fiction so airtight it almost sounded believable. If you hadn't seen the bat, the smirks, the fear in my daughter's eyes. Mr. Henderson folded like wet cardboard. The scoreboard, the donations, the influence. Karen owned him. He closed the file. There's not much more the school can do. Just like that, the system failed. 2 days later, the first letter arrived. Crisp paper, embossed letterhead, HOA logo at the top, notice of violation and imposed fine. According to the letter, signed personally by Karen Lawson, our lawn was in violation of Covenant 4.7b. Our crime? Grass a 1/4 inch too high. Attached was a photo, single blade of grass measured against a ruler. Someone had actually crouched in my yard, camera inches from the ground, to catch this. $100 fine, petty, targeted, a warning shot. Sam didn't flinch. She filed the letter, measured our lawn, took photos, and started a folder on her computer. Documentation, she said calmly. Always start with documentation. And that's when I knew Karen Lawson had declared war. My wife, she was more than ready to fight back.